Okay, let me ask you something. If you could have a conversation with a source of ultimate wisdom, what would you ask? And what if that conversation happened in the middle of the night, under a sky just packed with stars? Well, in this explainer, we're going to uncover some truly timeless answers to life's biggest questions. And they come from these ancient nocturnal dialogues between the Buddha and these celestial beings who came looking for him after dark. All right, let's dive right in. So try to picture this. The entire world is silent. It's pitch black. And then, bam! This brilliant light just fills the forest grove. And get this, these weren't just any visitors. They were called Devaputtas, basically divine beings from other realms. And even though they had these super long lives and everything seemed pretty great for them, they still had these profound questions about suffering and purpose and freedom. So they went to the one person in the universe they believed had the real answers. So where do you even begin a journey like that? Well, our first stop looks at the very foundation of the path to wisdom, laid out in one of the very first of these late-night chats. You can think of it as a roadmap for literally anyone, celestial or human, who wants to start walking this path. Now, what's so cool about this is just how straightforward it is. The first celestial visitor, a deva named Kassapa, basically laid out this 4-step training guide, and the Buddha was like, "Yep, that's it. You got it." It's a progression, you see. It starts on the outside. Listen to good teachings, hang around wise people, and then it slowly moves inward. First to solitude, and then finally to the real work, cultivating that calm, settled mind. It's like a universal blueprint for finding clarity. Okay, so once you have the map, the real work starts, and that work is all internal. So for our next section, let's look at how this wisdom gets applied to the battlefield inside our own heads to tackle our toughest, most stubborn struggles. I mean, this question, it hits home for just about everyone, right? A deva named Magga shows up, and he doesn't beat around the bush. He just asks, what's at the root of all our restlessness? What's the source of all our sorrow? What is the one thing we can just cut out of our lives to finally find some real, lasting peace? And the Buddha's answer is so direct, it's almost surgical. The one thing you have to cut off is anger, krodha in the original Pali. He says that's the source of all the tossing and turning at night. It's the seed of regret and grief that just follows you around all day. The answer itself is simple, but as we all know, actually doing it, that's another story. And this explains perfectly why anger is so tricky. The Buddha describes it as having a poison root and honeyed tip. Just think about that for a second. At its core, it's pure poison. But on the surface, it can feel so sweet. It feels justified, even righteous. You see this everywhere, right? That little rush you get in an online argument, that feeling of indignation, that's the honey. But the wise know that true peace only comes when that poison root is pulled out for good. And right on cue, it's like another deva, Kamada, is reading all of our minds. He just says what we're all thinking, but this is hard. He calls the path impassable and uneven, like you're trying to climb some treacherous rocky mountain. And that's exactly how it feels sometimes, doesn't it? Like it's an impossible uphill battle. But then the Buddha completely reframes the problem. He says the path itself isn't the issue. The problem isn't out there. He says for the ignoble, people whose minds are all chaotic and stirred up, that path feels rough, and so they trip and fall. But for the noble, the ones who've cultivated inner balance, that very same path feels totally smooth. The insight here is just massive. The work isn't about flattening the road ahead of you. It's about finding your own balance while you walk it. All right, so after digging deep into our inner struggles, the conversation takes a totally different turn. It zooms way out from our own internal world to this grand, almost cosmic question about what actually illuminates our existence. I just love this question. A deva named Magadha asks, so, what are the fundamental sources of light in the universe? It sounds so simple, but it really makes you think about what we depend on for clarity and vision in our own lives. What would you say? What are the lights of the world? The Buddha doesn't give some long philosophical answer. He just responds with a number, a simple, definite number, 4. And immediately you're thinking, okay, what are they? And here they are. The first 3 are the physical lights we all know and depend on, the sun, the moon, and fire. They're essential, right? They light up our physical world. But then he adds a 4th, and he says this one is above all the others. The light of a fully awakened being, the light of wisdom itself. It's a radiance that doesn't need day or night to shine, because it's the light that shows the way out of darkness altogether. And that brings us to our final theme. And honestly, this one is a real mindbender. A deva shows up with a question that gets at the ultimate nature of reality, of existence, and our search for an escape from it all. So this question comes from a deva named Rohitasa, who in a past life was this incredibly powerful sage who could travel faster than an arrow. And he spent his entire life, a full 100 years, just flying across the cosmos, trying to literally reach the physical end of the universe, hoping to find a place free from all suffering. He died trying, so now as a deva, he brings this epic question to the Buddha. Is it even possible? And the Buddha basically tells him, nope, you were right, you can't get there. No amount of physical travel, doesn't matter how fast you are or how long you go, will ever get you to the end of the world. And at first, that sounds like a total dead end, a paradox. But then comes the big reveal. This is the moment that shifts everything. The Buddha redefines the term the world, loka. He says it's not the cosmos of stars and galaxies out there. The world is this body right here with your senses and your mind. That is the entire sphere of your experience. It's where the whole drama of suffering begins, and it's the only place it can ever end. The entire universe you experience is contained right inside you. And here's the stunning conclusion. Remember, he just said you can't reach the world's end by traveling out there. But now he says you absolutely must reach the world's end if you want to be free. So the journey isn't outward into space, it has to be inward. Reaching the end of the world means understanding the nature of your own body and mind so completely that you're finally liberated from it. The whole epic journey happens right here. What these nightly teachings really show us is that for thousands of years, beings have been asking the very same questions we ask today. How do I find peace? How do I deal with difficulty? Where is the light? What is all this? The questions are timeless. So that really just leaves one final thought. The question isn't for them anymore. It's for you. What's yours?